And welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast of Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is not injured. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good. I guess better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiving core right now, because like you said, I am mostly healthy.
That's too soon, Kyle.
Although I did sprain my ankle last week, and I've been dealing with that, so I guess I'm not
play through it. Sit out until you're ready again.
Yeah. It's still probably a little bit better than what Tampa Bay is going through.
Possibly. I think a lot of people are doing better than what Tampa Bay is going through. Kyle, we have a ton to talk about here. 16 games. Why is there no bye weeks in week 8? I'm confused about that, but every team is playing this week, so we have a ton to get into, including 2 Monday Night Football games to recap. I'll say this at the start of the show just because we get comments, I feel like every recap in particular, about the lack of timestamps. Just letting everyone know, I know timestamps are convenient. We also do have the banners, though, at the bottom of the screen. If you just put your mouse over the bar at the bottom, you can scroll ahead and find the game if you want to skip ahead. So there's still a way to do it. It's just not the official time. You do it that way instead. But yeah, Kyle, let's just get into it. Why don't we? Let's talk about Buccaneers-Ravens. Maybe the worst loss, probably the worst regular season loss since we've been doing this show for me personally.
It's tough. Obviously the Ravens played very well, especially in the middle portion of this game, and Tampa Bay played very poorly in the middle portion of this game. However, one play does not define a game. We say that all the time when people complain about the referees, stuff like that. It's really hard not to say that the Mike Evans drop pass / injured play did not swing this entire game. Like, Tampa Bay's driving down the field. They dominated the first quarter. They're moving the ball down the field. They throw the ball into the end zone. It's a perfect throw from Baker Mayfield in that sequence, and it hits Mike Evans in the hand. It looks like it should be an easy catch and touchdown. He gets tackled from behind as he's trying to make the catch. He reflexively grabs his hamstring, which he's playing through this hamstring injury, and drops the ball. And so not only does he drop the ball, so it's not 17-0, it's still 10-0, and then Tampa Bay turns it over a couple plays later on that Baker Mayfield interception, the first of 2 really bad interceptions. It also turns into Mike Evans is out for the game and probably longer, and it just spirals out of control from there. And it's like, it's hard not to look at that specific play and be like, okay, that changed this entire game, where Tampa Bay looks like they're going to go up 3 scores, to maybe it changes Tampa Bay's entire season. What a wild turn of events that was. And I mean, this has to be pretty backbreaking for you.
Yeah. I think the score was actually different at that point. I'm trying to remember if it was, because it was 10-0, and then the Ravens scored a touchdown to make it 10-7. I think that would have been at 14-0 instead of, and then they kicked the field goal. But yeah, I mean, it was a huge play, because they said Evans isn't going to be back until at earliest after the bye week. And we talked about how tough these next 3 games are with the Falcons, the Chiefs, and the 49ers. Maybe he'll be back after that for the Giants, but they go 0-3 there. I mean, it's not over, but a tough, an uphill climb for sure. And then you have, Godwin's probably out for the year. So Kyle, I have a bone to pick with ChatGPT, or I guess not ChatGPT, but the Google AI. I have a bone to pick with the Google AI, because if you search how many onside kicks does a team get, the Google AI says you only get 2 in a game. That is not the case. You can onside kick as many times as you like, as long as you're trailing in the fourth quarter. But because of the Google AI, everyone is under the impression that the game was already over. Tampa Bay could have tried another onside kick had they scored late there. So the game was still over, but it wasn't over. But yeah, I mean, the injury suck. I mean, we'll get into the game a little bit, but like losing probably your second and third most valuable player to your team behind just the quarterback Baker Mayfield, like there's no getting around that. Like that completely changes this team. I thought we kind of view this as, if not a division leader, at least a playoff team. They're gonna have to really fight to get into the playoffs now, and maybe have to make a move. I don't know. I have imagined it's just a cope really at this point, Kyle. But I definitely have imagined Cooper Kupp in a Buccaneers uniform a time or two today.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense at this point. They're gonna need the help. It's just a tough hill, man. Like we talk about, like that NFC North, like all 3 of those teams now look like they have. Would you put the NFC North to have 4 teams in as the front runner, like for playoff odds? Like, would you take that over a team out of the NFC East or this Tampa team at this state or another team in the NFC West?
I mean, if you had to tell me, like, does that happen or not happen? I think I'm going to lean towards not happen because, like, just like you always take the field over like these exact teams have to make it. But like, if I'm power ranking who are who's the most likely teams, I do think I pick. I don't know. I think I'd still probably go Philadelphia over Chicago right now for the 7th
Yeah.
seed.
I think I would too, but it's close at least. But yeah, I mean, it's a really tough situation. So I feel bad for it, and yeah, I mean, it just stinks to see that happen because I mean they played really well up until that point. So yes, I did get it wrong, by the way. It was 10-7. That drop pass led to the Baker interception. Baltimore went down and took the lead, and then basically didn't look back from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it was a bad interception by Baker. Baker, I guess, just can't see Marlon Humphrey because he threw right to Marlon Humphrey. So, who Marlon Humphrey got banged up in this game too. That sucks for Baltimore, but they handled it all right. Again, it's a tough loss. The one thing I will say for Tampa Bay, when we'll get into it with the Falcons, is there still is good things about this team, which I think we'll talk about when we get to the previews of next week. But yeah, I mean, the other aspect is like, how I tweeted out my rankings of kind of who I'm viewing as the MVP through the first 7 weeks. I had Lamar, there's a lot of Jared Goff stuff, which we'll get into when we talk about the Lions, but I had Lamar at 2. He's climbed out to number 1 at this point. I mean, the Buccaneers defense has issues, but he was electric in this game.
Yeah, he was flawless. I mean, just some perfect throws in this game too. That ball to Rashad Bateman was as good as it gets. I mean, there's just some amazing plays in this game, amazing passes. He did have the one mistake, but it was like, the one fumble. But outside of that, it was basically a perfect day. And I mean, his passer rating's 158.1, so it's borderline perfect. Look, when Lamar Jackson's going to average 12 yards, 13 yards a pass, basically, and Derrick Henry's going to average 11 yards a run, like Baltimore's probably going to win all those games. And that's basically what happened. And I mean, the Derrick Henry thing was funny because an 81-yard run kind of skews that statistic. But no, it was just impressive to see them go at it. And it's like, the broadcast even throughout this game was like, why aren't they using Derrick Henry? Why aren't they using Derrick Henry? Why aren't they using Derrick Henry? Because they were using Justice Hill in the first half when they needed to throw the ball. And it was all of a sudden like, okay, well, now everyone's tired. Derrick Henry's going to get his 5 touches and he breaks an 80-yard run.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's have that. Yeah, it was like it's almost like, you I don't know, one to final boss, like then like regains health after you think you have it beat. Of just like, oh, and now you have Derrick Henry to deal with after Lamar's been torching you. Hey, Justice Hill, really good pass blocking halfback. It makes sense to have him in there against the blitzes. But yeah, this Ravens team's really good. Kyle, just as you crowned the Lions as Super Bowl favorites, I don't know, maybe a new Super Bowl favorites team just dropped.
They're close. I mean, they're neck and neck. That would be a really fun Super Bowl, just watching these two teams. Like, I mean, it'd be incredible. So I'm all for it. Still a long way to go. Ravens got to prove that they can vanquish some of their playoff demons, but they look every bit the part right now, man. I mean, that's an impressive team for sure.
I still have Kansas City as number 1. I'm gonna stay that and just keep giving Kansas City until they lose. There was another Monday night game, a closer Monday night game, a less sad Monday night game. This one was just kind of fun. I guess it was sad if you're a Chargers fan, but it was a fun game. As sad for me too. I locked up the Chargers. This was another blow here on Monday Night Football for me. I think my biggest takeaway is Justin Herbert kind of back to not having enough offense to make stuff happen. I thought he was really good in this game, Kyle, but it ultimately wasn't enough.
Yes, he was. Definitely frustrating. I mean, he's had a fantastic season, honestly. He's at 65% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Obviously, interceptions don't tell the whole story, but I think largely outside of the Kansas City game where he looked the most hobbled, that's also the best defense he played, so who knows? I thought he's looked borderline flawless. And yeah, I think he's had a fantastic season, and he's been one of the most impressive quarterbacks this season. However, it's really hard to score touchdowns when you're throwing to Will Dissly and Joshua Palmer and Ladd McConkey, and you're not getting the running game going. And I think that was the biggest takeaway from this one was that, like, this Chargers team had established this identity as tough, and they're going to establish the ground, and they have these offensive linemen that can dominate. And J.K. Dobbins has had a terrific start to the season. and that just didn't show up in this game against the Cardinals defense. You think they should be able to. So pretty interesting to see the Chargers get bullied a little bit on the line of scrimmage there, and not be able to get that win.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, this Cardinals defense has been one of the worst teams in the league statistically this season. So they're third worst in dropback EPA against. So, they give up yards there. It's an issue. I mean, I think it was Brett Coleman who tweeted out, hey, it might not be a bad idea for Cooper Kupp to get traded and not have to move, play in the same stadium, go to the Chargers. Again, there's going to be 15 fan bases that are hoping to get Cooper Kupp, despite the fact that he's struggled to stay healthy. It is what it is, but it would make sense for them to bring someone in, because I do feel like this can be a playoff caliber team, but it kind of goes back to maybe our preseason thoughts a little bit. It's receivers is so important in today's NFL, and they just don't have enough resources right there. And you got to give credit to the Cardinals. They played well and all that, but it's an issue for Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, they should get two receivers. They should get Cooper Kupp and DeAndre Hopkins, honestly.
Yeah,
they definitely need the help. I mean, I know Quentin Johnson had a good start to the season, and he wasn't in this game, but I think they need more talent. I think that they could use a couple guys, and the window's not open all the time. And if there's even a glimmer of hope that you could actually win the Super Bowl, which it's not crazy to say if they added a couple receivers, they could. They should go out there and get a couple guys.
Yeah. Flip side, for the Cardinals, hey, maybe not the most electric day we've seen, but at the same time, this is a really good Chargers defense. They were able to get enough going, able to get the drive at the end to get the victory. So, James Conner's very good. They're good stuff there for the for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it was a good win. I think Kyler did actually play well today too, or in this game yesterday. He played well in this game too, overall. And I thought they did some good things. You still want to see a little more explosiveness from the offense, but they, I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, it's tough to get explosiveness against this defense. They did what they had. They did what they could. Let's move on, Kyle. We'll talk about these four teams later, because again, every team playing this week. First, we got to talk about the scoring, which, Kyle, I had taken the lead for an instant, only for it to then get taken back as I don't hit my lock. Because of that, I'm back trailing yet again. So I'm sure you're feeling pretty good. Hanging on by
a thread. Tough break there with the. If they didn't make a game-winning field goal, would you have won? I didn't even remember the line.
No, because it was 2.5. So I was the Chargers keep getting field goals is what killed me there.
Yeah, you just needed one, but yeah. So hanging on by a thread. I haven't been that bad. That's the frustrating thing. It's just like you said, you've been on a bit of a tear. So got to bounce back this week and hopefully get my lock right this one.
Yeah, we'll see if Kyle can maintain the lead. Because I'm trailing, I will give him the first game. I'm going with a game that I'm just in the I don't want to pick category. I never like picking the Cardinals in general, especially when they're playing the Dolphins, who looks like Tua's going to be back. At least certainly that's what the line is indicating, with the Dolphins being favored in this one. But what are we going to see from Tua? I don't know what to make of this Dolphins team, even with Tua here. So I don't know what to make of this Cardinals team. Kyle, who do you have winning?
Yeah, I don't love... This was my number one game, too, because I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm just going to pick Miami. I feel like I'm going to regret it, but I am going to pick them. I think that they have to find a way to get Tyreek and Jalen Waddle into these games. And with Tua back in the fold, I think they're going to force feed those guys. And I think that's going to be this game plan, is they're going to go at this defense with those two guys, and they're due for a Tyreek Hill game. And I think it happens this one, and that's why I got the Dolphins. But I have plenty of concerns because this team's been very inconsistent, very frustrating, even beyond the Tua part, which obviously is a huge piece to this team. They just haven't played well on either side of the ball, it seems like, at times. So I'm not overly in love with this pick. This was my number one game. It's really hard to pick, but I can't trust the Cardinals, and I just think Tua moves the needle enough for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember, I think it was Tua's rookie year that him and Kyler had a crazy back and forth game, so it could be fun if he does play. It's a disadvantage too, having to pick this game on Tuesday, of we just don't know. We'll probably know by the end of the week if Tua is playing or not. It's leaning that way, but we don't know for sure. it does feel like if Tua plays on paper, like they should be able to throw the ball down the field. And again, this Cardinals defense, as we said, has not played well this year.
Yeah. And I just think they played well last week, but I mean they didn't even play that well last week. They just didn't give up touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
And I just think having difference makers in the offense is gonna make a huge difference, right? The Chargers easily win that game with Jalen Waddle, never mind having Tyreek Hill too. So I just think having a couple difference makers in that group, because they didn't even stop the pass last week. The Chargers still kind of did what they wanted. They just couldn't score in the red zone.
Yeah. Weirdly, Miami's defense actually performed very well this year statistically. It's been a top. It's certainly 7th in overall EPA per play defensively. I think part of that might just be competition. They've gotten to play against Anthony Richardson. That helps, right? Like, they've had a couple of those, but still, I mean, they got crushed by the Bills, so they had that as well. I also wonder how much of this is just teams aren't playing aggressive because they know like Tim Boyle's out there or whatever, but. I don't know. I think the thing I'm just concerned about as well is, again, the Kyler Murray factor. You never want to have to pick against Kyler Murray because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, he's still a threat, obviously, and showed it in glimpses again last week. So it's not an easy game to pick either way. The Cardinals have to be the most confusing team in the league right now, right? Like, it's just it's flipping the coin on which side you're going to get of the Cardinals, and I definitely think their offense can wake up and score 30 on anybody. So I wouldn't be shocked if it happens this week, but I still think I'm still betting on it not happening as often as we think, because it's just been frustrating to watch this team.
If Tua plays, is this a loser leaves town game? Because both teams are still kind of in it right now. Dolphins are 2-4. If Tua plays and they win, you're 3-4. The Cardinals are currently 3-4 as of right now. I feel like there's going to be some hope for the team that wins, and probably a lot less hope for a team that loses.
Yeah, it does feel like it's too much for. I mean, the one thing is the Dolphins do have a 3-game stretch against the Rams, Raiders, and Patriots that it feels like they can kind of bounce back. But they have to play Buffalo next week, so getting to 5-6, does that bring them? Does that give you hope? Maybe, but then they also end with a pretty tough schedule, assuming, can the Jets be a little more competitive? We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not writing off the Dolphins yet, but it definitely definitely puts them in a very difficult spot.
Yeah, Luna's definitely not writing off the Dolphins.
Yeah, I guess not. That's not even her. That's my parents' dog, I guess.
Oh, gotcha. It should be a fun one. I'm excited for this game. I have to say, I'm a little bit bummed out looking at this slate. I think there's not a ton of great games, but a couple interesting ones. Kyle, give me the next game first top game on your list now.
Yeah, I'll go with number 2 on my list here. I think this is going to be a competitive game. I still don't 100% feel comfortable at either of these two teams, but I think it's one of the marquee games of the week. So I'm going to go Eagles at Bengals.
Okay, what's next on my list as well? I've been on the Bengals bandwagon. I have basically this whole season. A lot of people gave me criticism a couple weeks ago when they were 1-4, and I still put them into feels like a playoffs tier in my power rankings. I'm gonna ride with Cincinnati here. Their defense has played better against awful competition. I do think that the Eagles can put up points here. I just I don't know. I feel like Hurts, while he played very well last week against the Giants, still put the ball in harm's way too much this season. So yeah, I think, again, Joe Burrow is playing at such a high level right now. I could see the Eagles. I think the Eagles have a bit more of a complete team right now, but I like a couple of the offensive pieces more for Cincinnati. So give me the Bengals, but it could go either way.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I do have the Bengals too in this one. It's funny, as the defense has played better the last 2 weeks. Granted, I think a lot of that has to do with competition, as we talked about with the Dolphins too. Mm-hmm. They've also slowed down a little bit on offense compared to the 4 weeks prior to that. So it's just difficult to really kind of get a gauge of this team. That Patriots loss just continues to stick out like a sore thumb because I don't know. I just think this team being 4-3 instead of 3-4, I feel a lot more comfortable about it, but we'll see how it plays out in this game. I agree with you though. I think Burrow's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this season. I think he's been fantastic. And I think he's going to go out there and have a good day. I think the one thing I'm concerned about is I think AJ Brown could kind of bully this Cincinnati secondary. And I think that's something that's very much in the cards, and he does it to just about anybody. But I think especially this secondary, he can go out and have some success and, make this game close.
Yeah, people like to sometimes post I feel like stuff that isn't true. And Kenny Pickett, or is this no. People like to sometimes say things that throw me off. Kenny Pickett not starting. I googled it and it said Kenny Pickett makes Eagles debut Sunday. I'm like, wait, but no, that was last Sunday. No. Please don't. You always fool me. I have to Google stuff. Please don't trick me in the chat.
Yeah, you're too gullible for this.
He said, read a headline wrong. You got me, Drew, because then I look and I also read the headline wrong. Yeah, it's a bad headline because it says it like Sunday. It should say like, last Sunday.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that's the aspect I'm looking at is like, can they slow down AJ Brown? Because I still think that's a huge part of slowing down the Eagles. And yeah, I think it could be a high scoring game and it's going to be a fun game. And that's the interesting part I'm looking at.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it should be fun. Do we have any more to say about this one?
No, I think, like I said, I think we know who these two teams are, but like, I'm still not like very comfortable, like betting the house on either of these teams. So I just I need to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll say this. I guess one last thing is Eagles defense has started to look a lot better. A really good game against the Giants. I know it's the Giants, but they like dominated that. So there is some hope maybe. And again, double team Jamar Chase. I guess one thing I would say as well, though, is we talk about the Eagles. I think it's actually a test for the Eagles offense against the Bengals defense. I think the Bengals are going to be smart enough to take away A.J. Brown, and we'll see if the other guys can get it going. I think they will, but I'm still betting on Burrow.
Yeah. How did we get this scheduling quirk where they both played the Giants and Browns their last two games and then play each other? How did this happen?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Every now and then the schedule makers some weird stuff. I'm giving you another, I think, very competitive game. Bills at Seahawks. Both teams kind of red hot right now. Seahawks coming off of maybe their best win of the season. Bills have been looking a lot better as of late. Who do you have winning this one?
Yeah, we're in lockstep right now with some of these picks. This was number 3 on my list. I am going with the Bills still. I still think this is a good team, even though they've had stretches this season where they look like garbage on offense. I know Seattle's defense played much better last week, so that is definitely something to keep an eye on. But I think we've kind of seen, at least the last few, throughout this season, that like I think this defense is all right, but like as the competition steps up, they just don't have the bodies to match. And I think this is very much about a competition stepping up because they have Josh Allen coming to town. So I think it's a bit tough. So give me the Bills in this one. I think they handle this.
Yeah, it almost reminds me a bit of like the Seahawks playing the Lions, where I'm just kind of worried it's going to go like that. Where like I think the Seahawks have a good enough defense that they can shut, they can have a good game against the Falcons. But like this Bills offense is maybe one of the most underrated units in the league right now. Again, third best in EPA per play. Like it had that bad game on primetime against the Ravens, and I think that's what's like. And then it had a bad game against the Texans the week after. So like those two are kind of like it's been like elite every other week, and adding Amari Cooper could really help with that. So again, Josh Allen's going to give you 2 or 3 bad games a season. He's already gotten one of those out of the way again in Houston. Like I'm not expecting that this game, but if the Seahawks can make a play or two, right? I mean, Allen will go. I can't believe Josh Allen hasn't thrown an interception yet this season. It's the funniest thing in the world to me because he's like his turnover-worthy play rate is as high as it's ever been. It's higher than any season other than his rookie year. I don't know what happened because last year he was so unlucky. This year he's I guess it's going the other way for him.
Yeah, it bounces back and forth, right? So it is an interesting aspect. He can't put the ball in harm's way. And I think he is forcing things, obviously, because he has a little bit less talent around him. But, I thought Amari Cooper looked pretty good last week. Obviously, Keon Coleman had a couple big plays, too. And they still have Shakir. They still have these 2 running backs that have played well. Dalton Kincaid still in the mix, too. I mean, they have weapons. It's been a good group. And it looks even better now with Cooper in the mix. So, yeah, I think it's a exciting offense to watch. And, we've seen this. We've seen the Seahawks defense look good, but we've mostly seen it look bad. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out and how they handle all these weapons on the defensive side of the ball. But like you said, if Allen does put the ball in harm's way, my guy is going to take advantage here. Geno Smith, he's been hot. He's been one of
Yeah.
the best quarterbacks in the league this season, and he could definitely put up points to keep up with Josh Allen so far from what we've seen. He's been electric.
Yeah, he's been really good. Absolutely. I think that he's someone that, and I think this offense has been really good. Again, what they were able to do against Atlanta was, sure, it's Atlanta. They've given up points this season, but like there were some great throws there, some great plays in there, and we have. Like, I don't view this. I don't view either defense particularly stronger than the other defense here. They both had their moments. They've also both had their bad weeks. Like I do think that there can be stuff, especially over the middle, which the Seahawks love to hit. So yeah, I still think Seattle needs a turnover or two if they're going to win this game, though.
Yeah. What's your favorite quarterback matchup this week? This one, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, or if Jaden Daniels plays the rookies?
Well, I mean, if Jaden Daniels plays, probably that one. What? No love for Bo Nix, Andy Dalton?
No, I was thinking of throwing in like Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew, but
Right, sure, Minshew mania, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the Burrow Hurts has to be Burrow Hurts, or is it? No, I'll go this one. I'll go Allen Smith. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, Smith's been a better quarterback than Hurts, no doubt.
Yeah,
this season.
I think Burrow's also been better than Allen this season, but no, they've all been 3 out of 4 have been very good this year.
Yeah, so it'll be exciting. Very interested in seeing this one play out. These are getting close to the end of the great games this week.
Yeah, you guys can really turn it off now. This show's not going to get that much more interesting. Kyle, give me a game.
I know we talked about the injuries, but divisional matchups are still tough. Let's go Falcons Bucks.
Kyle, we're in locks 1 through 4. We have the exact same list. This is I don't know if this has ever happened before. Yeah, I mean, I gotta pick Atlanta. They're 2.5 point favorites here, so that's where my pick is going to have to be. Just because, like, I mean, the thing about Tampa Bay too is like Jamel Dean, their number 1 corner, is on IR. So it's like and that was a big issue heading into the season. I thought was their corner depth. So it's kind of been an issue for a couple of years now. So like you have so many injuries. We just saw Kirk Cousins light up this defense. I'm expecting another game like that where Baker Mayfield's going to have to outscore the Falcons offense. And without your 2 best weapons, I think there's one massive advantage, and that's you have Luke Goedeke back and you have Tristan Wirfs, and this Falcons team just does not have edge rushers. Kyle, your team, the Patriots, sold the Falcons a lemon with Matthew Judon. I mean, he has not done anything this year. This has been that's been a miss. I mean, they can't rush the passer at all.
Yeah, it's been tough this year. Obviously coming back from the injury last year, he's shown his age this season for sure. So yeah, it's a bit of a problem. And the 2 turnovers from last week, it was Baker holding the ball a little too long, and although he had time to throw, he maybe overthought those throws a little bit. So we'll see how he adjusts this week, because he is going to have time to throw. He's got to make those passes, and I mean, it's tough. Like, I know this Atlanta team is kind of hit or miss defensively, but like at the same time, like, I don't know, it's Jalen McMillan has shown some flashes, Sterling Shepard, Trey Palmer, Kate Otten. Like, it's just not a whole lot in the passing game to get really excited about. Is Bucky Irving their biggest offensive weapon right now?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I like Kate Otten as a good receiving tight end, but yeah, I mean, it's not like listen, every guy you just mentioned, I like in a very specific role. I think those are all very good role players, but their roles is predicated on having 2 number 1 receivers, and now that's not the case. So I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Tampa Bay is, and I think they could have success. The running game, thank God, the running game has all of a sudden started working at this point. They need it to be working, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, I think they'll be able to score some in this game. I think the question is, can they do anything against Kirk Cousins, who last time they played just lit them up, threw for over 500 yards. I think you have to probably blitz and you have to play man coverage and hope that you can at least take away that first read. What we talked about with Seattle. Don't let them hit those first reads, and bad things will happen for the Falcons. But again, I don't know if they can. I just don't know if they have the resources in the back to do it either.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense in theory, but then at the same time, you're asking a lot of guys to play man coverage against some pretty good weapons too. Yeah. So they got to be able to get stops in those spots. So it's going to be really tough. But I mean, it's this Atlanta team just hasn't sold me this season, right? And so, this feels like a huge spot for them where they're 4-3 and have a chance to kind of get a stranglehold in this division because they'll have the tiebreaker over Tampa. This kind of feels like I think this game's more important for Atlanta than Tampa Bay, honestly. Because I think having the tiebreaker, you don't want Tampa Bay to get healthy and get some swagger in this game. This should be the one where you put the pedal to the floor and kind of take advantage of your spot here and go 4-0 in the division.
It's interesting. I mean, it's a big game for both teams. We keep talking about the Tampa Bay stretch that they're in. I keep talking about it. With the Chiefs and 49ers, the next two games, listen, anything can happen. It's the NFL, but I'm not expecting much in either of those two games. So for Tampa Bay, they're almost looking at a scenario where best case scenario is they win here and then go are 500 in that stretch. If Atlanta can win, now you're looking at Tampa Bay being 2 games under 500. If you can just win another one, have a couple game lead with the tiebreaker, like you pretty much have the division locked up. If you lose, again, Tampa Bay's schedule gets a lot easier after that. So it would be a massive loss. They can survive a loss, but a win almost like guarantees them the division.
Yeah, both sides can survive a loss, I think. Just because, if Mike Evans comes back after the bye week, you have 2 Carolina games, you have the Giants game. I mean, who knows how much the Saints are going to be trying week 18. That could be a phone-it-in draft pick game. And then you have the Raiders. I mean, your toughest games are the Chargers and Cowboys, which aren't easy games, but, winnable games still. Yeah. So, it's not crazy to say they could go, 6-2 down the stretch, 5-2 down the stretch after that bye week. So, it's recoverable for both teams. But I just think, this is Atlanta's chance to kind of really show that they're ready to just take this division. And I think they have to take advantage.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens. I hope they don't, though. Hope I'm wrong about that one. The point I'd love to add to my score. Kyle, now it is time for me to give you a game. We'll see if this is next on your list. I'm giving you Vikings-Rams.
Yeah, it is. But I'm going to lock up Minnesota.
Okay.
I get it. Cooper Kupp's coming back. He is a threat. That is definitely a problem that Minnesota's going to have to solve. That being said, I think they've done pretty well with just about all of their problems except for Detroit. And as much as I like Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, it's still not Detroit. So I think Minnesota's going to be just fine this season and in this game. And I think they're going to go ahead and take advantage and win this one.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that what you're hoping for here for Minnesota is kind of another one of those early season Sam Darnold games. So being able to just throw all over this Rams defense that has not played particularly well this year.
Yeah, no. I mean, this defense looks beatable at times, for sure. So I think they have to go out and take advantage of that. And, they should be able to put up a good number here. And then at that point, I think the defense is going to hold them under 24-27. So I feel pretty good about that situation, but Minnesota does have to still prove itself. It wasn't, obviously they looked very good last week, but it's not a perfect situation the way they played last week, losing to that Detroit game. And they've had to have some shaky second halves. It feels like the last 3 weeks. The Detroit game, obviously, it kind of fell apart for them. The Jets game, obviously, the second half they held on, and then the Green Bay game they really held on. So I think we need a good 4 quarters for football for Minnesota to be really sold again, but I still buying in, and I still think there's a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I this is even a lock I considered as well because it is, just 2.5 points. I'm wondering with the Rams, do they run the ball a lot in this game? We saw the Lions have some success. Run the ball a lot, kind of forced Brian Flores to not be able to do these cover zero blitzes that he likes to do, and you can kind of tire out this defensive line. Don't let them just pass rush left and right. I think we saw the Lions have success. I wonder if we see the Rams try something similar.
I'm assuming they'll try. I just don't know if they had the same personnel. Obviously, I know Hutchinson wasn't there, but I still think that's a better group overall than what the Rams have.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting with this team because you have, I mean, again, if Cooper Kupp's back, I don't know, can Stephon Gilmore hold his own against him? So Stephon Gilmore's had a big game against the Rams in the past.
Yeah, no, it's a fun matchup. It's a rematch of the Super Bowl with those two. That being said, like they move Cup around so much, it's not going to be
Mhm.
like a like for like matchup. But like, yeah, I think Stephon Gilmore's gonna. I mean, he's played really well this season. I see no reason why he would stop playing well. So it's all fun matchups around, and I mean, I still just look at it though, like as much as I think Cooper Cup could get his, I think even Kyra Williams could have a decent day. It's just still looking at this group and saying like, there's just too much offensive talent on Minnesota that I think Los Angeles has to deal with. Like there are so many weapons on this team. I mean, the NFC North has the best offensive talent in the league, and I mean they're good at almost every position, maybe besides quarterback.
Yeah, and even Darnold's played well. Like I don't think Darnold's like
Yeah,
he's not. This isn't. I don't know if this is even a Case Keenum situation. It might be somewhat similar to Case Keenum, but like
yeah.
it's like like he's playing well enough. I didn't. I thought Jordan Addison didn't play particularly great against Detroit. I think they wanted to see him win a little bit more. I think he'll do that. I'm expecting him to do that here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think he's got the talent to do it, and you know, TJ Hawkinson was the limited participant, so maybe they add another piece to this offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I think that'd be huge. I think getting Hawkinson back will matter a lot. Kyle, give me a game.
All right. Next on my list, this is the last sort of narrow line. Actually, no, I'm going to change it up.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't believe I'm giving you. I know who you're going to pick in this one just because you're a hater. Let's go Cowboys at 49ers.
hater. Well, okay. I don't think picking the 49ers over the Cowboys is being a hater, Kyle.
Well, I mean, 49ers missing a lot of guys. I mean, does that become a little more interesting? I still had the 49ers pick, so I'm assuming that's who you're picking as well.
Yes, I am picking the 49ers over the Dallas Cowboys. I get what you're saying because the 49ers are very banged up. But I mean, I don't know how you can look at what the Cowboys have done through 7 weeks this season and say that they're, a team that, even with the 49ers having their issues, especially in the receiving core being so banged up, I don't know. I like this 49ers team. I think this might be even a get right game. Kyle, with how bad this Cowboys run defense against worst in football, playing the 49ers, I don't care that it hasn't looked as dominant this year. I mean, this is the 49ers always beat the Cowboys. It's in San Francisco. I can't believe this line's only -4, but just due to the injuries, I guess that's why. Won't lock it up, but I feel pretty comfortable picking the 49ers.
Yeah. If you were guaranteed Debo Samuel and George Kittle wouldn't play, how would you still feel the same way?
I'd still pick the 49ers to win. I would. I get what you're saying, that's definitely scarier, but I think they're going to run the ball well in this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I had this one a little bit lower, but I just think the potential of like all of these offensive weapons being out of the lineup. But like San Francisco has known this matchup. Like this has been well documented, especially in the playoffs. This obviously isn't a playoff game, but San Francisco has owned this matchup, so that's a little bit tougher to really sell yourself on. I do think it could be a get right game. I do want to see Brock Purdy play a lot better than he did last week. You know, I agree. We've been kind of in lockstep that I think he's playing better this year than last year, even though he's still not an MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm.
But I still maintain what I said on Sunday. I think that was the worst game he ever played. I mean, there was just some horrific throws in that game. So I do think he needs to. This definitely needs to be a get right game for him. I want to see him play a lot better against a banged up Cowboys defense.
Yeah. I just saw this. Andy Dalton got into a car accident. I think it's I don't know if it's serious or not, but that's what Adam Schefter tweeted. So hopefully everything's all right there.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. Don't want anybody getting hurt.
Yeah, so
Or
maybe
yeah.
that'll it doesn't seem like it's like a super serious. I feel like if it was super serious, it wouldn't have been tweeted out like that. So hopefully everything's okay. But yeah, got distracted by that. Sorry, but yeah. The other thing too is like this Cowboys offense just hasn't played great this year. Like that's the other thing. Like usually, like okay, defense isn't great. The offense can step it up. Like this, I think this Niners defense should be able to play pretty well against Dallas.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, they kind of bet on Brandon Cooks this year, and not only was it not working out, he's also on IR now. And, like, I think it's like Jalen Tolbert's probably been their second best offensive weapon, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, just in, I don't know. I don't love the idea of Jalen Tolbert being your second best offensive weapon. Rico Dowdle's been okay, but they insist upon this Ezekiel Elliott thing. Like, I just think you need to put Dowdle back there, too. Like, I don't know. So it's just going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Jake Ferguson's also in the mix, but it's just not enough explosiveness outside CD Lamb.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Kyle, my turn to give you a game. I'm going to give you a game that, again, I'm giving you the games where we don't know if the quarterbacks are playing or not. I suppose let's talk some balls. Chicago Bears going to where Jaden Daniels plays, although he might not play. Had a rib injury. Might be Mariota. Who do you have winning?
Yeah, it's a bummer because I was really looking forward to this matchup. I mean, this would have been the marquee game of the week if Jaden Daniels plays. I mean, he still could play, like you said. It is week to week. That being said, I'm kind of betting on him not playing.
Yeah.
Just based off the reports I heard initially. I mean, there's a time. I mean, they initially said it could be 5-6 weeks. Now it's week to week, so maybe it happens. But I'm currently betting on him not playing, and if he's not playing, as well as Marcus Mariota did play last week, and I think it was a good job of investing in backup quarterback. I think this defense is a much different animal, obviously, than Carolina. So this Chicago defense is very good. I got to pick Chicago, and I just think that's too much to overcome.
Yeah, I get that. I think that, Washington's defense has played well these past couple of weeks. It's still not a unit that I think you love. It feels like the Bears have a mismatch on both sides of the ball. Well, on one side of the ball. They don't have a mismatch on offense. Their defense against the Commanders' offense is a battle. That's one that could go either way. Because, I mean, this Commanders' defense has been, this Commanders' offense has been great against everybody this year. It's just the, I don't know, Kyle. If Jaden Daniels is 80%, play Mariota, right? Like, you're in an okay spot right now in the NFC. This could be a big game for playoff seedings. If the Eagles are able to take the division, this could matter for the wild card. But like Mariota, I mean, he played well. He basically played that whole game in the blowout against the Panthers. So like, I know it's just the Panthers, but I don't know. You have a good backup. This game is not. They are not dead if Mariota is in there.
This isn't make or break, right? They still have winnable games on schedule. They still can win the division, and they still have that advantage with them. So, yeah, I wouldn't rush it either. Like, you got to look at the bigger picture here. So, that's kind of also why I think he won't play. As fun as we want to see number one versus number two, and Jaden Daniels has been an MVP candidate this season, and Baker Mayfield. Wow, Caleb Williams has looked really good the last few weeks. You wanted to see that now with both of these quarterbacks playing so well too. I just think it's something you have to see the bigger picture. So I agree with you there. And although I just picked Chicago and laid out the reasons why, like, it's not crazy to say Mariota could still win this game. This offense has been really good this season, and I know it was just the Panthers, and I'm still betting on a regression with it being if it's Mariota against a better defense. But like, the offense looked terrific even with Mariota in. So I think it's going to be a fascinating thing. I agree with you though. Like, I think the interesting aspect of this game, under the pretense that Jaden Daniels plays, it's very good offense against very good defense, and then we have an offense that has been up and down this season against a defense that has been up and down this season. But that being said, this defense is playing its best football right now for Washington, and this offense is playing its best football right now for Chicago. So it's like, it's going to be a learning lesson about both of those sides, because we at least know those sides are healthy. It's like, is the Chicago offense for real the way they've played the last few weeks? Is this Washington defense for real the way they played the last few weeks? So it's kind of interesting that both of those sides are playing some of their best ball right before this game. And I think we're going to learn a little bit about one of those two sides, which one's for real.
Yeah. Well, was it last year that Washington played Chicago in a Thursday night game, and it was like the joke was like, "Oh, Thursday night football." This, that was like one of the games we talked about. It's like an awful Thursday night game. I think did we boycott it? Was that? I think we boycotted a Chicago Washington game last year or 2 years ago on Thursday night football, and now look at them, the marquee matchup of the week.
Yeah, it was last year. So it was the Justin Fields had a big day. He threw 4 touchdowns in that game, apparently. I don't know. Okay. I didn't watch.
Yeah.
Sam Howell had 388 yards. So
yeah, that's right. I remember we said we weren't watching it, and we didn't, when we talked about it, we said we're just looking at box scores here.
Yeah. So what a day that was, allegedly.
Yes. Who knows if it happened? They might have just pretended they played. No one would know. Kyle, give me a game.
Yeah. So what's next on my list here? Divisional matchup. Back to that. Well, it's a tough one, but there is a touchdown spread just about on it right now. Just under touchdown spread. Colts at Texans.
Okay, Kyle, I'm locking up the Texans 5.5 point favorites here, which is maybe a bit of a risk because the Texans have not really blown out anybody this year. They've kind of been winning close games even against teams that we don't think are great. Kyle, here's the stat that's causing me to do it. Okay, I tweeted this out actually, a part of it. Anthony Richardson, when he is not blitzed, 77.9 passer rating. Okay, that's a bit on the low side, but that's okay. When you blitz Anthony Richardson, his passer rating is 4.9. 4.9 when you blitz Anthony Richardson. That is, I've never seen something like that. And a decent enough sample size. Texans blitz in top 10. Texans are top 10 in blitz percentage. They're going to get pressure. I can't trust Anthony Richardson right now.
Yeah, no, I get it. So the tough thing is like the second you down Anthony Richardson, he's gonna have like 4 or 5 insane throws. And I mean that was week 1 in this game. They played week 1, and that game came down to the wire because Anthony Richardson was kind of largely terrible in that game, but made 3 insane throws.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's like, I don't doubt all the stats on Anthony Richardson look bad, but he's also talented enough that like he could turn it around in a game, like in a 1-game aspect. And that's what makes it tough. And, they played him really close because of that just this early this season.
Yeah. I mean, he hit I think 3 of those big plays week 1 and really hasn't done it since then. So I think, again, I'm just kind of banking on that not happening in this one. And then I still, even without Nico Collins, I still think that CJ Stroud in this offense will be able to move the ball down the field. Granted, Nico Collins had I think exactly half of the receiving yards in that week 1 matchup. So it's no guarantee, but I don't know. I feel okay about this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about this Colts team too. Like the defense just hasn't looked right this season. It did play better last week, but I mean, that Dolphins team has been weird. And then obviously the Titans, I mean, I just don't know. So right. I think it's it's still asking a lot to say this team's going to be okay against the Texans team with talent. How do you feel about D'Amico Ryans?
I think it's pretty to how I felt, which is I think he's a good head coach that maybe got a bit too much coach of the year buzz last year.
Yeah. I don't doubt he's a good coach. And obviously I think the big thing is half the battle for coaches at times, it feels like his culture, setting the intensity and all that kind of stuff. And this organization definitely needed a culture change to begin with. So I think that's helped. That being said, I don't agree with a lot of his decision-making sometimes. And I think some of those is just the defensive coordinator taking over the head coaching responsibilities. And it just feels like the Texans at times could be a little bit more aggressive than they are. And I don't know if that's coming from him, if that's the offensive coordinator or what, but it just feels like that there are times where I want them to kind of, push the limits of this offense and really let Stroud do his thing. And it just doesn't seem like they want to do that all the time.
Interesting. So you feel like offensively you want to see them push the ball down the field more? I don't disagree. I mean, it's tough because last week against Green Bay, the running game was by far and away working way better than the passing game was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they struggled last week, so I get it. But I just think in general, too, I think they could be a little bit more aggressive on, early downs. I think they could be a little bit more aggressive on some 4th downs. I don't think last week specifically had some 4th down decisions, but just in general. But, it just feels like all of these games, get close at one point, and it's I kind of want them to, go for it, and they just don't.
They will this week. The Texans are going to put it all together. I'm buying in. Have never been wrong when I've bought into a team on a lock this season, Kyle.
Yeah, never been wrong on a lock. They have one game that they've won by more than 5.5 points, by the way, this season, and that was against the Patriots.
About to be 2
games, sorry. They won 19-13 against the Bears, so they
okay, there we go. Yeah, just need another one of those. Kyle, my turn to give you a game. We just talked about them. Let's go Packers Jaguars.
Yeah. This Jaguars team obviously looked better last week. That being said, Packers.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the next game. Yeah, no.
I really don't get this line. I thought about locking it up, but I don't know. I still think going to Florida or something like that, maybe that's playing an element to this, but this Packers defense has played really well. And I don't know, the Jaguars back-to-back games in London, now they're coming home. How is that going to play an element? They haven't been home for a while, and Does that affect them? Like, I think there's a possibility of that. You know, they look good the last couple weeks again. They've looked good against bad defenses. They look good against Indianapolis, and they look good against New England. They did not look good against Chicago, and I just don't see the argument for them looking good against a Green Bay team that's arguably more talented than Chicago in a lot of ways. But they have good secondary. They have good receivers. They're going to throw at this Jaguars team, and yeah, I just don't see the argument.
Yeah, it's weird. I agree. This is a weird line. Like you said, the Jaguars did have a bit of a resurgence offensively, and I guess the other thing is, I don't know, this Jaguars defense has played poorly this year. We still have seen so much volatility from Jordan Love. Could that continue in this one?
Yes, it could. I still think they're gonna have too many cracks at the wheel to go after this Jaguars defense. I don't know. I think it's I just think it's a bizarre line, and I think it's something that it's going to be interesting to watch. So I don't know. I just don't see the argument to saying the Jaguars are going to win this game to where they're within a touchdown.
Kyle, for most games, like let's take the Eagles-Bengals, for example. If I were to tell you going in, the Bengals would win the turnover differential by 1, you'd say, okay, that's probably enough. Let me pick the Bengals to win. In this game, how much would I have to tell you if I'm coming back from the future and tell you the Jaguars win the turnover battle by what to where you're betting on the Jaguars money line?
2 or 3, maybe 3.
Yeah, I was wondering if is 3 enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean the thing is, it's not like Jacksonville hasn't turned over the ball too this season, so they could very easily give it the ball right back. So yeah, I think I get it. Like the Jordan Love thing can be scary sometimes, but like I mean, they're just they match up better on every phase of the game right now.
Yeah, it sounds harsh, but it is true. It's a weird line. So sorry, Jaguars fans. We did not. Brian Thomas Jr. is good.
Yeah, he's fun. Like, don't get me wrong, he's fun. Like, I think Lawrence has actually played well, despite the record the last few weeks.
Who would you rather have, Jordan Love or Trevor Lawrence?
Wow.
They have similar contracts.
Probably Jordan Love.
You think so? Go with the upside?
Yeah, I think I would. It's close though. I would actually have to think about that probably more. Who would you go with?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think I have no idea. They're in the same tier for me right now.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends. Like you said, do you want the upside of Jordan Love or do you want like the steadiness of Trevor Lawrence? But yeah, I think I'd lean Love.
Yeah, we have. I'd rather have Trevor. Not even a question. Love. So the chat is divided as well. This is it's very interesting, and that's a good one. Let me know in the chat or in the commenters if you're watching after. Who would you rather have? Kyle, let's move on. Really, I mean, this ending portion of the show is not going to be a great. We're going to have to. We're earning our money here, Kyle, with the ending one of this week. Give me a game, as every game has at least as almost a touchdown spread or a touchdown spread.
I mean, we could speed round some of these for sure. I won't complain. Let's go Giants at Steelers.
Giants at Steelers. Well, we have plenty to talk about here. I mean, the Russell Wilson thing is still interesting, as we saw the Giants defense looked okay. They do get pressure, and maybe that's the way you can make something happen against Russell Wilson. I'm interested in seeing another. I'm very fascinated in another week of this Russell Wilson thing. I don't know. We just saw Daniel Jones get benched last week in a game that I didn't even think he played that poorly, and there was nothing he could do. Like they got destroyed by Philadelphia. I don't see how that's not going to happen again. I don't see how this Steelers defense isn't just going to terrorize Daniel Jones. Monday Night Football as well. So there's that.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I don't know, man. Like I do think there is an argument to where like the Giants defensive line has been. I mean, they've honestly been one of the better groups in the league as far as defensive lines go. And, Russ is a little bit, not a little bit. He is much less mobile than Justin Fields. So maybe like that is the argument. They get after Russell Wilson and frustrate him, pressure him. There's some mistakes. I see the case there, but like, I just don't think it's enough. I think Russ is going to play at least mistake enough free football to make that work. And the Steelers just have too much talent on defense. Compared to this Giants offense. So, yeah, I think I go Steelers too. Man, the Steelers frustrate me. They're like, I don't know. It's like, they're like, how do I describe it? The Steelers are like flirting with the cart girl at the golf course. Like, you just know in your heart this isn't going to lead to anything significant. You just know like there's no point, but it just sucks you back in every time, right? Like you're just back in there every time, ready to go, ready, locked and loaded. So yeah, I just think like I'm back in on the Steelers, even though I know it's going nowhere. They're going to lose in the first round.
Come on, the Steelers are fun. This is
Yeah,
the
you know
most
what else
fun
is fun? Flirting
What's
with the
that?
cart girl at the golf course.
I guess so. I suppose so. I feel like I'm having a good time with the Steelers. I'm buying in a little bit more,
That's
Kyle. I
what
put them
do
in
at the golf course too.
But I'm just saying, I feel like if Russell Wilson can play like he played last week and they actually have a quarterback, I don't know what the ceiling of this team is, but it might be this Steelers team does feel a little bit different than Steelers teams of years past.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, this is much better quarterback play than they got the last few years, but I mean, I don't know. It's just tough. Like, I would probably never pick them to win a first round game. I mean, it would all depend on the matchups and who's healthy, but like, I just look at the teams in front of them and say they're probably still not going to win any of those games. I mean, it'll be interesting. Maybe this Russell Wilson thing gets better and better because he did play well in the second half last week. So there is a case for it, but I think I still need to see more than just 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but I feel like in years past they were like the 7 seed, like just getting crushed by the Bills in like the round one. Like I feel like now they're a team that's like I don't know if I'd love to play them in the first round. Like I'd rather play them than some other teams. Like okay, the Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, and Texans, the 4 division leaders, are clearly the 4 teams that I think are best in the AFC. But like for the divisional or for the wild card teams, it's like okay, the Broncos. I like the Steelers more than them. Like Bengals, I think I kind of like the Steelers more than them right now. You could talk me into Cincinnati, but right now I like the Chargers. I like the Steelers more. Colts, I certainly like the Steelers more. So like, I feel like the Steelers they feel like the 5th best team in the AFC right now.
Yeah, I mean there is a case for it. So yeah, I get it. No, I do. You didn't seem to buy in on my analogy. That's fine.
It's not something I've ever attempted myself, Kyle.
No, it's not something I do all that often either. I mean, it's really
only like once a week. It's not like a big common
no.
thing.
I do have the massive respect for like the old people who are like the members. I went golfing with this one guy once, and we just happened to get paired because we booked the same team time. And this guy, he's in his 50s or 60s, and he knew all the. We somehow in 18 holes, I guess we just caught like a shift change. We got 3 different cart girls, and he knew all of them on a first name basis. And apparently followed them all on social media, which was the weird part for me. But anyway, this guy, like,
you were impressed by this. This was somebody you were. This is the hero of yours.
Yeah, I have a massive. If there's 3 things I respect an old man for, someone in their 50s, 60s, or even higher. If there's 3 things I respect old men for, it's number 1, flirting with women just as shamelessly as possible, attractive women, obviously. Number 2, going to any restaurant and ordering a cheesesteak. I don't know why they all love cheesesteaks, but they all always order cheesesteaks at restaurants. And then number 3, just free balling at any public gym. I think that's the most, like in the locker room, obviously. They're not doing it in the floor, but like any locker room at a gym, there's just a 50 to 60-year-old man who's like paid to free ball at any gym. Like those 3 things I just have so much respect for. I don't know how they get away with it.
Kyle, I'm learning so much about you. Well, that's what Kyle loves about old men. I'll have to upload that as a clip.
Yeah, Kyle loves old men. There we go. Yeah, go ahead and get that going.
All right. Well, I think we covered that game pretty well. Let's move on to the next one, Kyle. I'm going to give you again Saints at Chargers. Talk about old men instead, if you'd like to.
Speaking of old men, Jim Harbaugh's coaching in this game, and I like him more than Dennis Allen. So give me the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, this again. I think healthy the Saints team is different, but we talk about the Chargers defense, and it's very good. I just don't see how the Saints move the ball.
No, not without the receivers. It's too tough. They're going to put everybody on the line of scrimmage, and I don't think Rattler's played that bad. Even like last week was horrific, but like. There's only so much he can do given the circumstances. I don't think he's been that bad. It's just too tough to overcome, especially as a young quarterback. Bad offensive line, bad at receiver. I mean, Chargers are going to bully them at the line of scrimmage, just straight up. So I think this is the bad matchup for them, and then the injuries don't help. So yeah, I think the Chargers win this one pretty handedly. That being said, I probably wouldn't bet -7 just because like they just have a way of like not blowing teams out because their style of play. So yeah, I think that's a tough line, but like they're a 7-point favorite for a reason. They're a better team.
Yeah, that's fair. I think maybe this is a Chargers money line situation of just because it feels like it's very much going to. The odds probably aren't great, but it feels like it's very much going to happen. Just because I just because the flip side as well is the Chargers team runs the ball a lot. They run the ball well, and the Saints can't just defend the run either. So it's just like what's the pathway for the Saints to win this game?
I don't know, man. Because you could say turnover factor, but like Justin Herbert doesn't turn the ball over right now. He's been really good at it. He's not putting the ball in harm's way, and the Chargers just in a natural state because of the way that their style of play, they're very conservative on offense. So they're not going to try and put the ball in harm's way. And I think Justin Herbert's doing that well. And I think Jim Harbaugh in this offense is coaching it really well too. So like you can't even say the turnover battle because I mean, it's very likely the Chargers are going to win the turnover battle this week.
Yeah, I think you got to feed Alvin Kamara a lot. But like, again, it's like the Chargers stop the run well. So it's like, I mean, that's what you have to do. And you have to run these play actions and hope that you can scheme stuff open. They might work a little bit.
Still no McCoy and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's just like I'm still looking at this group. Like, yeah, I mean, they're going to hand the ball to Kamara. I just don't know if he's going to have any room to do anything.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We can move on. We don't spend forever on these late games if you don't want, unless you have more you want to say. Why don't you give me a game?
Yeah, let's just keep it moving. Because he's basically forced to now. The Browns are playing their best quarterback, so let's go Ravens at Browns.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess I get why you're giving this a little bit earlier. It is a divisional matchup, and the Browns with a new quarterback. What happens? We did see the Ravens defense play a lot better. Granted, Tampa Bay was missing Mike Evans for most of that game, but still, I mean, they had Godwin for most of it. Like we've seen them have good games without Evans this season. This Ravens offense is just rolling so much right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd bet the Ravens minus 9.5. In fact, I like the Browns a lot, plus 9.5. But like, yeah, I'm obviously picking Baltimore to win.
I think my big thing is like if I'm going to take these, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left. If I'm going to take these 5 like massive underdogs right now, like as much as it hasn't played as good as it did like last season, I still think this Browns defense is better than probably any unit left to pick from. So that's kind of where I'm at with this pick. And like maybe if they're able to find a way to slow down Lamar, Jameis does all right. And they, but that's still asking a lot. Like Ravens are going to roll. They're a way better team right now.
Yeah, and I mean we're all assuming Jameis is going to play. I don't think it's been officially announced, right? But I guess it would be him because Dorian Thompson-Robinson's banged up too. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be. This Browns team is a wild card, so it is good to kind of give me a team like that, just because like this line feels like it's still a Deshaun Watson Browns line of like, if this is could this be last year's Cleveland Browns? Like, is it that crazy that with Winston they can do that? I don't know. I think with the Cleveland Browns, here's what I'm interested in is we saw this with Andy Dalton when he came in with the Panthers of it's like, oh, these offensive linemen actually can block if you're not holding on to the ball for 5 seconds. Like, oh, these receivers can get open if you throw the ball down the field. Like, I think we're going to at least get to kind of see what this Browns team actually is with Winston in.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting for sure. So I'm still not betting on a whole lot, but like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a case to be made that they're much more competitive. And obviously like just the stigma behind it too. So yeah, I think it could be an interesting element, but like, I still have to see it first, right?
Yeah, this Browns fan base got to be fired up. This is going to be most lively stadium atmosphere they've had this season with no Watson.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Can this galvanize the fan base? We'll see. But it's just such a weird thing, right? Like there's just not really a situation like this in football history where like I mean, the team was actively the fans were actively rooting against the guy. Like whether you think the guy should be booed while he's injured or not. I mean, like, I'm not getting into all that. Like, I don't care. But like, like
if it's not old people flirting with young women at the golf course, I'm not interested. Don't have opinions on it.
What a way to follow that up. I don't care about Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson. Why do I keep saying Baker Mayfield and mistaking about
You got Baker Mayfield on the brain. It's understandable.
I know. I guess so. But yeah, what a way to follow that up. But yeah, I just I don't know. They were literally actively rooting against this guy though. So now they have a reason to go to the game.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the people that skip ahead to Ravens Browns and they're very confused by what I meant by that.
Yeah, just gonna have to rewind to the Giants and Steelers.
Yes. Kyle, my turn to give you a game. I'm giving you your team, Jets Patriots. I think I get why I get why it's a -7 line. The Patriots have been horrible this year. They deserve to be a touchdown on underdog. The question I think is, do the Jets deserve to be a touchdown favorite against anybody the way they're playing right now?
I mean, probably not, but they also just beat them by 21 a few weeks ago. So like
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah,
like I know everything looks bad for the Jets, but this Patriots team is very bad. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. That being said, I mean they've scored 20 plus the last 2 weeks with Drake, or no, they scored 16 last week. They didn't get that last touchdown, but the offenses look significantly better with
Hmm.
Drake May. I think that's the element of this game that you want to, if you're going to talk yourself into the Patriots covering the spread, like they're going to move the ball better theoretically. I would be interested to see if Demario Douglas is going to suit up because obviously he had to leave that game with an illness or something last week. I don't know. It was weird. So if he's able to play, because he's been their best receiver in these 2 games with Drake May, he looked very good again last week before leaving the game. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I just don't see. I mean, this Patriots defense just cannot get stops right now. It's not playing well. There's just like infighting. The coaches complaining to the media about how soft they are. I just don't see the case here.
And then a former coach is complaining about that. Belichick has on multiple shows complained about Mayo's comments calling the team soft. So, yeah, a lot of turmoil with the Patriots. That being said, this is the Jets team that beats themselves. Like, I get what you're saying. The Patriots can't earn stops, but they might, fall into a few. I think the way you win is get a really good Drake May performance against a Jets defense that's reeling right now. I agree. You have to bet on the Jets to win, but like that's the way that's the pathway to victory.
Yeah, I think the one argument or another argument you can make along with the Drake May thing is that like they won that game basically by throwing a bunch of blitzes at Jacoby Brissett, and that's like they just destroyed him at the line of scrimmage because he couldn't read a blitz, and like Drake May so far has shown that he can handle those situations and looks a lot more comfortable back there. So like I said, I think you can make small arguments, but at the same time, it's still hard to look at that 24-3 game a few weeks ago and then be like, oh, yeah, Drake May is going to make up that difference.
Yeah, I hear you, Kyle. If the Jets lose, I mean, just trade everybody, right? Like, just blow it up and like trade Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the natural move. So
Would it
when's
make
the trade
sense?
deadline? November 5th? I mean, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, like have the JJ McCarthy for Aaron Rodgers, 1-for-1.
I did pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd think about it. I'd have a meeting about it
yeah.
if I'm Minnesota.
It kind of makes sense. It's kind of falling into place.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think there's an argument for all that. Would you trade Devontae Adams with him? Does he have to go with him?
Well, this is the issue. This is why you couldn't trade for Aaron Rodgers. Like, there's just too much of this stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly. So
Like, if you
it's been a
trusted,
lot.
if you would just show up and play football, then fine. But it's like, okay, you have to get him, and then Alan Lazard has to be included, and it's the whole thing.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know. There could be a future vice presidency for him again. So we'll see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
I think the Jets get right here, but then ultimately don't do a ton after that. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, probably right. So let's move on. I'm done.
Yeah, Kyle, give me a game. 3 games left.
Yeah. As well as the Broncos have played, I'm not sure I'm ever going to make them a 9-point favorite. So let's go Broncos and Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers, haven't had a great season. Last week was a low
You
to the
think?
point. Okay, yeah, yes. But even with them having a bad season, last week was a low point to the point where Dave Canales is now getting asked if they're going to go back to Bryce Young, which isn't ideal when you make a quarterback move. I mean, Andy Dalton's still the better guy here, but against this Broncos defense has played great. Say what you want about Bo Nix. He isn't someone who's losing you games. Kyle, I mean, there's guys wide open defensively for the Panthers. I don't know if I've seen a defense look this rough than I've seen for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, yeah, it's again, the way you can win is if you get a good Andy Dalton performance, you're able to put up 21 and get a couple Bo Nix mistakes. But like Bo Nix, he'll miss some throws. Like he's not an idiot out there. I think that's kind of why Denver's been able to win games. I think Denver wins. I think they cover.
Yeah. I like that review of Bo Nix. We should put that as the headline. Bo Nix, he's not an idiot out there.
I mean, that's pretty much what got him drafted, right? Was like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, he's someone he doesn't just throw directly to the other team that often, so let's draft him.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the tough thing is like they're gonna go like they're just gonna swallow up these Carolina receivers. That's the issue. Like this secondary is just unbelievable right now. So I think that's too much to overcome. So I agree with everything you said. And then Bo Nix has been fine. So yeah, I think it's still too much to overcome. And yeah, I think you saying that it hasn't been the best season is the nicest way to describe the Carolina Panthers in 2024.
Kyle, it's going better than last year. They have their first overall pick at least.
That is true. I don't know if
won
the
a game up to this point
on the field has actually been better than last year.
Well, last year they didn't win a game until what, like week 10?
Week 8. They went 1-6 to start, so they're 1-6 again.
Okay. Well, but they won the week. Okay, I guess it's about they might be a worse team this year, but they have the draft pick. The vibes are slightly better.
I do think this team's better than last year. Those receivers are awful. So yeah, I agree.
I don't know. Last year had an alright defense. I think this team's worse. I think if this team played last year's team, I think last year's team wins.
Yeah, that's fair. With Derek Brown out, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on. Again, when we're debating which Panthers team was worse, the 2023 Panthers or the 2024 Panthers, time to move on. Kyle, I'm glad I get to give you this game. Chiefs Raiders. The last team to beat the Chiefs was the Raiders on Christmas. Since then, the Chiefs have yet to lose. Will the upset happen again?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. I mean, maybe it could. I don't know. Weirder things have happened. The vibes in Las Vegas just are not fantastic. They similar to what you said. They have to go back to Gardner Minshew because Aiden O'Connell got hurt, and it just didn't look that great. They do have Brock Bowers, but I expect this Kansas City defense to dominate everything else with Las Vegas, and there's just not enough offensive talent here with no longer having Devontae Adams. So yeah, I would bet Kansas City. I know Kansas City against the spread stuff has been weird. I would probably bet Kansas City to win by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you look at with the Raiders is what the reason why Antonio Pierce has the job he has is because he beat the Chiefs last year, right? Like that game was kind of his one signature win. That's what they were able to point to. He talked about on a podcast of Max Crosby that I listened to for some reason. They talked about how I remember it kind of went viral. There was they had like the Mahomes rules is what they called it, similar to the Jordan rules of like we saw that last week when Mahomes is towards the sideline and guys are afraid to hit him. Like the Raiders aren't afraid to hit him. They go out and they will do damage. I think you could see Mahomes not wanting to run the ball as much in this game. This receiving core hasn't looked as good. Could there be a way the Raiders could slow down this Chiefs offense that already hasn't looked great this season?
Maybe. I guess there's an argument for it, but like at the same time, like this Raiders defense hasn't been terrible too. Like it's been okay. If you want to make that argument too. So yeah, I mean if they're going to play with the intensity to do it, like I think there's an argument, but I don't know. Like are they still buying into the Mahomes rules at this point in Antonio Pierce's tenure? That's what I don't know.
I mean, if you're not going out trying to hit Mahomes, like you can't wear a Raiders uniform. Like that's number one in the contract. It's like you will try to not injure Mahomes, but like you will try to inflict as much punishment legally on Mahomes as you can.
Yeah, I think it's that's probably the case. So yeah, I just don't know. Like
no, it's unlike. I'm just saying that's what if you're the most diehard Raiders fan on the planet is going to tell themselves entering this week. But again, Minshew's probably going to get eaten alive by this Chiefs secondary. I think they could maybe slow down the Chiefs offense, but Chiefs offense will probably get enough unless we get some turnovers like we saw on Christmas.
Yeah, unless we get some turnovers indeed. But yeah, I mean, it's still as much as the interceptions numbers have been talked about. I don't think Mahomes has played that bad. We talked about that a lot on Sunday. His advanced numbers are still pretty good. So I just don't think he's going to put the ball in harm's way as much as people think.
Kyle, last game left. The a team that some people might say is a Super Bowl favorite. The Detroit Lions at home against the Titans, 11-point favorites. This is the game you're giving me. This is the last game on the list. I'm obviously picking the Lions to win. This was actually my backup lock, even though it's an 11-point spread, just because I do think this Lions offense is just playing so well right now. The Titans defense has been a good defense this year. And I guess that's what you look at is, could this Titans defense slow down the Lions? I don't think it'll be enough to win, but just like, it's an interesting test for the Lions, I suppose, to see how good they can be.
Yeah, I will say though, this Tennessee offense or defense, excuse me, has been worse against the pass than the run. You know, they're 20th against the pass, as far as EPA goes. So like, this could be another big Jared Goff game, I guess, and the way they're throwing the ball right now. It's just really hard to expect anything different. That being said, Jameson Williams isn't playing in this game, so obviously that hurts it a little bit, hurts the machine a little bit, having one piece out of there, but that's probably the most disposable piece of that group. So overall, obviously the Lions are a lot better for a reason.
Oh, we have a super chat. The great Overlap 618. All right, Mr. Jackson, this is Overlap. Even though I got hustled for 100, I'll have you know I'm a loyal fan. Hashtag people's mod. Hashtag Overlap. Hashtag still here. Hashtag review Hocus Pocus, please. Yes, thank you, Overlap. And I got to make sure that's not the real. Hopefully, that's not the fake Overlap, though. He never specified.
Yeah, he didn't say. I don't know. It looks
even Drew in the chat is concerned. It might be the fake Overlap. So thank you, fake Overlap, for the $20.
Yeah, we do appreciate it, and maybe if the real Overlap does come back, we'll see.
Yeah, right. Kyle, I don't think we have too much out. I mean, I think we're good on Titans Lions, right?
Yeah, we did the whole Lions. We talked about the Lions a lot on Sunday. So this is a really good team. I think they're the Super Bowl favorites right now, and they should dominate.
Yes. Again, thank you to everybody for watching. Kyle, let me know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you have like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline podcast. It should be available there. Overlap 618 with another super chat. Also, please do a video on if the Chiefs are overrated and how they can beat. This is the real Overlap, by the way. Okay, so I think Overlap 618 forgot to finish a sentence there, but I don't know. I mean,
be beat. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. Overlap 618. If you were the fake Overlap 618, you would probably be saying you're the real one. So I'm still not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It is. It still is suspect.
Yeah.
Oh, can the Chiefs be beat? Yep. There we go.
Yes, okay. I also like the all caps for Overlap 618. Part of me's tempted the mod Overlap, but every now and then I try to hit it and it just bans people, and I can't risk banning Overlap 618, so I can't do it.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. Constant source of entertainment for sure.
Overlap 618 says, "Don't play with me, Jackson." No, I would Overlap. Put a comment in the. I'll make you a mod. Why not? But put a comment after the video is done, and then I'll make you a mod. How's that sound, Kyle?
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Yes. Don't
debut
abuse
Sunday,
this privilege.
or not Sunday because we're not here Sunday. Debut next Wednesday of Overlap as the moderator.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Just again, Overlap. Just put a comment after the video is done live in like the actual video part. But yeah, Kyle. I guess that's it. Every hockey team plays tonight, and they make a big deal about it for some reason.
Yeah, the Frenzy Friday. What is it called? Something Frenzy. It's not even Friday, so I don't even know.
I don't know. The Fun Frenzy, Frozen Frenzy, maybe Frozen
Frenzy. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. They should have done it on a Friday. Frozen Friday Frenzy.
I don't know. Is that too much?
Triple F.
Just if you have so much fun, like do it like 8 times a week, 8 times a season. Like why?
Yeah, I don't know why they picked this day. They picked NBA opening night too. So
way to stay relevant, weird. NHL. Kyle, do you have anything else, or are we good?
No, I think we're good. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Again, reminder: no show on Sunday. We will be. I'll post a little video giving the recap for the games, but we'll be back a week from tomorrow. Kyle will be in London. Kyle, enjoy your trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fun. Gonna regroup a little bit here and watch my crappy soccer team play. Great soccer today, though. If you're watching Real Madrid Dortmund this afternoon, that was great stuff. Vinicius Jr. is just insane.
All right. Well, that's sometimes you gotta say stuff for the people, not for your co-host. Kyle, good stuff there. Yeah. Again, thanks to everybody who watched along. Always fun doing these midweek shows. We do appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.